Okay. So this is our first series of our November GPS, and we are going to be working with two different lectures on love. And for the path work, a lot of times, the guide gives us the beauty of the spiritual reality and the truth, and then we go to this very practical place of well, what's in our way of being there, right? Of experiencing and living that, because he's saying that it's really not that we have to do something to add something to us or change us, but we have to get present and connected to the places where we are contracting or blocking, because the natural flow of life is to move, to expand, and that's the same thing with change. So in life we may encounter something, if we can't go, if it doesn't change and move, it seems like it's recycling, or it seems like it's we're stuck there. Then that's a kind of understanding that the natural processes are being blocked, and they're blocked for a reason, and there's never any judgment. But then we have to become more conscious to understand how we can free the spirit, free the experience. And so the pathwork is just this great set of maps to help us unravel the places where we've gotten lost, and kind of give us some breadcrumbs and some understanding of the deeper realities that underlie us, and the foundation of what I would call the soul journey, right? That much more is going on here than meets the eye. So, we'll see how much, since people are new to this, that it's a little hard to integrate all at once, and so hopefully we'll just approach it with these two lectures. And there's another lecture where the guide talks about love, where he says love is a spontaneous soul movement, right? So we all know that we want to be loving, even, or we might have a voice that says we should be loving, that makes us feel bad when we're not, or we may feel somehow, resentful of always being the one that's doing all the loving and not ever getting it back. So there's like, all of these kinds of things that we, go through around understanding and deepening into a real, uh, being lived through by love experience, right? Which is sort of where I think the movement of evolution is going. And so when the pathwork started, it came in the 50s, the late 50s, and it was the same time that people from the traditions in the East were coming into the West. There were all kinds of new findings with Dead Sea Scrolls, and I don't know, all kinds. So, like, in the Pathwork Guide spoke of this, influx of light that was happening, and part of what this was about, and that it was, a beginning of a process that was going to take humanity to a different kind of experience on Earth. And so, we've been kind of working with these concepts for a while, and it'll be a while yet maybe before we find its full fruition. But the more that I've worked with this stuff, the more amazing and beautiful and clear like my life becomes. And when things are difficult, I have tools to work with that, and I have ways of looking into understanding what's going on, right? And ways of being with it that can support moving through rather than getting tangled up in it. So there's just a kind of journey that the pathwork really is. And I hope that this will make sense for people new, and that you'll continue to just explore different, aspects. I will certainly give people some additional resources. There's actually a really good YouTube video of a woman who's another pathwork helper, Amy Fulchak, doing a presentation of this lecture, and she's very clear. She's a good presenter. So You might want to take a look at that, and I'll send it out as well. And then we're going to kind of just explore the lecture, and then we're going to do some process. But even before we jump into the lecture right now, I like to do a little kind of attunement, and in that attunement, kind of present or let people drop into an experiential part of the process. Um, so to let yourself for a minute just tune in. There's a reading from the lecture that I just want to drop into our bowl, and in a sense we're creating a container among ourselves, and this attunement kind of helps us drop in. If everybody can mute too for now, be good. So in this lecture, the Pathwork Guide is speaking, and I apologize because I'm of such a habit. I use the word Pathwork Guide he, but the Pathwork Guide actually said that it was many beings involved, and so it's probably much more accurate to say the Pathwork Guide they, are speaking here, and says, as you all know, at least theoretically and intellectually, love is the greatest power in the universe. Every spiritual teaching or philosophy, every religion, even modern psychology proclaims this truth. Love is the one and only power. With it, you are mighty, you are strong, you are safe. Without it, you are poor, you are separate, you are isolated and fearful. However, this knowledge cannot really help you until you discover where deep inside yourself you cannot love. You do not want to love, and you do not know why you resist loving. Without this particular knowledge, the great eternal truth about love remains a lofty ideal you cannot possibly apply to your person or your life right now. So just let that drop in and see if you can let yourself scan a little bit, feel your body right now sitting on what it's sitting on, and feel the weight of it, kind of letting yourself be supported by whatever, and kind of relax and drop into it, and feel your arms and your hands and your legs and your feet. Sometimes I go a little fast with this because I'm doing it as I speak it, but I'll try to slow down, and then bring your awareness towards your center inward. You might notice your face, but then drop into the throat area and into the chest. And below that, into the diaphragm. Sort of like each place you're just saying, hi, I see you, it's like, what's here? Just bringing awareness, bringing attention to our inner state. And into the pelvis and the lower abdomen, and again, just feeling the connection with the ground. Following your breath. Just let yourself drop in this whole thing called love, right? And you don't have to have it even worked out, but just notice how your body reacts when you drop in this word love, loving, explore a little bit. Do you have parts of you that want it? Maybe parts of you that crave it, or parts of you that feel burdened by it, or lacking is more present, what's there for you around this most powerful energy. And just allow yourself to breathe in a deep breath and kind of wiggle your fingers, bring yourself back to the space here. And then let's do a little sharing. So you can share your name, maybe where you're from, and any prior connection with the path work, experience that you've had. So I kind of have a sense of, where we're at on that. And then, what have you also experienced during that little attunement, and there's no right or wrong answer, right? It's just like, whatever did you notice as you did that? So, and we'll just, there's not a way on Zoom that I figured out to go in any kind of order. So just whoever, wants can speak, and don't forget to unmute yourself when you speak.
I can go. Hi, my name is Rob. Um, I've been with the Pathwork GPS studies since January of this year, and I live in New York most of the time. Sometimes I'm down in Florida in the wintertime. And during the attunement, I was just thinking of what I remembered from the lectures, and I'm just trying to. My big question is how do you, when do you know, or how do you know that you love yourself? Because sometimes uh, I may embark on a course of action or something that I know might not be the right one, but I do it anyway, and I'm wondering, am I not in tune with myself in terms of understanding what I should or shouldn't be doing, if that's even the right question. I'm trying to get out of this particular series of lectures, um, something that'll enlighten me along those lines.
Beautiful. Yeah. I think it's a key, like not only do we need to be loving in general, but how do we, truly love ourselves? And what does that look like? Is it self-indulgence, or is it, some kind of, discipline and always doing what we should do? And the guide, as usual, is an amazing, and that's a kind of duality that we get lost in, and he's always weaving these dualities into a very unique understanding. So hopefully by the end of the of this time together, we'll have made some headway to that question. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Judy. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I've been studying Pathworks, I don't know, since 2018, I think, so few years now. I've taken a number of courses with Darlene, and she's always wonderful. So I'm happy to see that you're doing this session. I reread lecture 72, and it made so much more sense this time around. So I really see how I'm expecting a kind of immature love that it could be a different kind. So looking forward to this month.
In very subtle ways, we all, do that, and it gets more clear, but also, like we see it in, deeper within. But that's what the child needs, is to be seen. It's like all of it is about integrating and knowing it's there. So that's great.
Well, I'm Jeff. I'll speak next. Good evening, everybody. I live in Virginia. I'm new to Pathwork. I'm still figuring out if it's Pathwork or Pathworks. I think I've heard both tonight. I'm here on the recommendation of a friend who sees a pathwork helper every couple of weeks over Zoom for personal and spiritual counseling. During the attunement, and that's a new word for me, I like it. Um, I don't I can't report a great descent into a loving feeling. I think I'm more loving in the morning than in the night. At night, I focus more on digesting dinner and staying awake. My mind is full from the day, um, whereas in the morning, I feel more open and capable of being loving. I believe in loving. I'm certainly a student of loving and want to get better at it. There's a great song by Tim O'Brien that has a line that says, if there's ever an answer, it's more love. And that I've known of that song for 20 years and play it whenever I'm a little down because it makes me feel like the answers are much more simple than I make them out to be. If that's true, boy, there's no reason to not have progress. Uh, so I'm in with that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I hope you guys don't mind, but I sometimes find it, useful just to, have a little dialogue as we go around, and it was interesting to me, and I can see like it's ways of giving instructions are sometimes challenging to me. In a way, when I said to use the word love, it wasn't necessarily to find love, make love happen in yourself, feel that love. It was more like, what do you feel when you say that word right now? Which might have been, I'm too tired. I'm just digesting my food, and that's part of what we're doing. It's just being with what is, and love is embracing that, is being with that, is including that, right? And that's basically the nature of love. And so we're kind of learning how more consciously, because unconsciously we are continuously sort of, thinking how we should be, and trying to manipulate ourselves, into that in some way, or be frustrated with ourselves because we can't manipulate ourselves. And so there's a lot of entanglement that happens when, we think that it's an active thing. And love is a verb, but it doesn't happen from the outer will necessarily. That's why the guide is saying it's a spontaneous soul movement. And so what we have to do is kind of create the conditions for that, actual movement to, flower from our hearts, and to, cultivate that for us, but it's not like, that we can make it happen. So thank you for your sharing there.
My name is Carol Rice. I live in New York as well. Rob and I are married. He's downstairs, I'm upstairs. Anyway, been doing the path work, or I should say the GPS for about a year now, since the beginning of the year. And my reaction to the word love at the time was a little on the numb side. Love is something that is, I know I have it, but sometimes it doesn't seem to be there. You said that in your last comment, Darlene, that it's like a spontaneous, I think you said spontaneous, like soulful thing. Something that I learned was that sometimes love is a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And
choice.
It's a choice, it's a decision that you have to make, especially when you're married for many years and you're with one person. Sometimes you have to make that choice. So anyway, was my response, my reaction.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that's also true. I would say, that we have to choose it, right? And so it's a free will choice. And that's very important. Sometimes, when we choose it, we can't always, we're not always in every moment there, but we know that that's our essential, choice as a soul. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Davis. I'm from Allentown, Pennsylvania. When I heard you say that love, like, you have to create the conditions to flower or create love, that really resonated with me because that's exactly why I really am really want to dive deep into Africa to create the conditions so I could be more loving and be able to receive it, because that's just what I want. So,
Okay, good, Dave. We're having I don't know, I think you're still driving home.
no, I'm driving to work. So,
You're driving to work. Okay. So, yeah. So I couldn't catch all of that. You were breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, but do you want to try to summarize one more time, quickly?
yeah, it's basically I'm trying to create the conditions so that I can be more loving and be able to receive love.
Uh-huh.
So that flower. That's what.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the guide is also saying, that's a part of the confusion that we have from childhood, is we think, love is about receiving love instead of about giving love. And so there's this way that, that there he's talking about a kind of natural development or growth, because, when we're little, we do need to receive that. And sometimes when we didn't get that, there's a hole inside, and this is where this whole unconscious thing and kind of dependency and codependency happens in relationship, where we're, trying to, get this need filled from outside of ourselves. And then, it often becomes a kind of tug of war or something, because both parties are wanting to get rather than to give. And, it's like these things can be strong in us because they come from deep, emotionally charged places, in the wounded child. So hopefully we can also, learn just to be present, and when we can activate, this self in presence, this way of being our own divine self with whatever is inside of us, then that's really what the child needs. And that naturally then creates change. So that's what we're going to be exploring as we go.
Next, I'm Judy, and from Hong Kong. So we are actually already in the morning time. So I've joined the Pathwork this monthly for almost half a year, and I skipped last month. Was a quite busy month, so very happy to come back again and see quite a few familiar faces, all working on this path together. So for me, I feel when I haven't read or listened to the chapter I'm going to do this week. But when it comes to love, what comes to me is that I feel with my parents, I am always working. There's one big topic is a lot about I felt my parents raised me up in a way that I need to perform. I have responsibility to be successful. And then I hold on this, and then that recently, in the last 2 years, I kind of, like in the past, I feel I forgave all that. But just recently, in the last 2 years, I begin to realize that there's nothing for me to forgive, because they actually gave me unconditional love, even though there is expectation of me, but that doesn't mean they don't give me the unconditional love. So when I kind of make peace with that, so I feel the relationship between me and my parents kind of like flourishing. But yet at the same time, I feel that I'm still at the process of learning and how to fully give myself unconditional love and how to love myself fully, because I feel that pushing energy that to move towards success, achievement is still strong. I'm very aware of it, but I feel that probably to bringing more self-love that can continue to support this journey.
Great. So yeah, and it's exactly those kinds of things that I think we can experientially work with here, because there is a way of just acknowledging those forces, those energies that are from the past but are still here now, right? And then there's a way that when we're choosing this process of connection and acknowledgement and being with all of these aspects, then an opening of that connection of self-support, of self-befriending, of self-love, which people have brought up here before. So this is very much a key, right, to this work of freeing the flow of the current of love in ourselves from the universe, through us, out to the rest of the universe.
Hi, I'm Esther, and I'm from Swampscott, Massachusetts. And I've been doing path work since about 2018. And the first thing that came up about love is about receiving love, how I blocked over the course of my life to protect myself. I blocked off a lot of emotions. And so therefore I blocked off love. And so now I'm on that journey to learn to love who I am, to love the child, and to know, like what a lot of people have been talking about, what was in the past, and then what's the present. What's going on in the present.
Beautiful. Yeah, very good. And it's good to see you again, Esther. I'm glad that, you're still in this journey. And
Darlene, I'll go next. I'm Cynthia. I am from the North Georgia mountains, about 2 hours north of Atlanta. I am brand new to Pathwork, so I'm delighted to be here. And while you were doing the attunement, what I focused my attention on was awareness in each part of the body. And was I feeling resistance, or as you just said earlier, was I feeling and freeing the flow, or was it blocked? And if there was resistance, could I release it while you were going through the attunement? So it was a great awareness process for me, and points to really go back and address. So thank you for that.
great. Yeah. A lot of times I feel like it's almost just kind of emotional hygiene in a way, like we're just sort of unconsciously, doing all of this holding, like literally we don't recognize it, but some wounded child part or something is holding up, holding in, holding back, holding out, holding on, holding together, right? We're just, life is immense, like beyond our capacities. We have some fear usually, in the everyday, or just the unknown of the next moment, right? It's like life is intense. I can say it's, it's to try to remember that it's not a vacation. It's here to challenge us and to take us to our edges, right? And so there's this way that as you're talking about this, it really is like just kind of even, I think we will get to a place where we're sort of moment to moment riding this wave in the present, where we are just, fully expanded in time and space, and like when those contractions come up, we're clearing them instantaneously, right? But now, like, we kind of collect them a little bit, or, the day is a day that, we run into some things, and so it activates or triggers things. And so it's really good just to go in and do that little scan and allow whatever, like you said, to just feel. You don't even have to know what it is, right? But just to feel it in the body, and just gently presence it, acknowledge it, and invite it, if it can, to relax, let go a little more. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. That just tells us that there's something more there that wants our attention, right? But so much is just kind of habitual holdings that we can remember to release and clear as we go. So thank you.
Hi, I'll go. Jim from Red Lake, Ontario. Yeah, I've always struggled with conditional or unconditional love. Which is it? And it's always been a challenge for me.
Thank you. So it just, so like there's like a conflict inside, or you're trying to figure out which one is which that you are experiencing or are putting out.
Yeah, exactly. Which one am I experiencing?
Okay.
How do I distinguish?
Uh-huh. So I think one useful way, like when there's this voice inside of our heads that is kind of an interjection of outside expectation, that says we should do something. And usually, it's like, if we do that, we're good, we'll get rewarded, we'll get loved, right? So that would be conditional love. The love is conditioned on our performance in some way, or how we are, acting, or, So an unconditional love is really love. I mean, most parents experience it with their children, it doesn't matter what they do. There's that love there, and that doesn't mean that they don't also maybe disapprove of some things or have their own inner critic that, comes in, but there's a deep, connection ultimately to, whatever that being. It's kind of like it's the being rather than the doing that we honor, respect, and usually deeply, are like have fallen in love in some way, right? So, and the guide says a lot of times, we are sort of numb to all of, this level, because our whole culture, this is all about, everything we're talking about here is around on the feeling level of things. And our whole culture has kind of left the body to function in the mental realm, and, like is uncomfortable feeling what the feelings are in the body. So part of it is just kind of learning even to tolerate or come in and notice, like, oh, there's even, I can't feel anything here. It feels kind of numb, or we can begin to find language and ways of describing feelings that, most of the time we're describing a story, or, this happened and I feel angry or whatever. But in the concept of anger, is an experience in the body, in this moment now, that we're, the more that we can be in direct communication with it, the more it can transform itself, and also the more we can truly understand it, right? And so we're kind of like learning how to go in and befriend sometimes our pain and our discomfort, right? Because it's not always, like, especially like, I mean, grief is everywhere right now, grief and fear right? And trying to, welcome those things, and be with them, I think is what's going to help us through, and also, what's called for, by sort of the world soul in some sense right now. So, it's okay. We can, really honor all of this, and we'll discover that the more present that we can be with it, the less there is fear, and the more that it naturally passes through, or we can transform it into compassion and into love. So part of it is we are doing that, through our lives with all that we're encountering, and integrating all of those experiences, and, trying to make them whole in some sense, which is a spiritual service to the collective. And so we're all helping each other in these ways that we don't even know about, just by living our lives and doing our best to, do our own inner work. So still a couple more. Yeah, hi, Sarah.
Thank you for this evening. I really appreciate it. A couple things for me. I've become aware that I withhold love. And I want to understand more about that and why, what motivated me to come. And then the second thing that I was aware of tonight in the attunement is when you read that love was the greatest power. There's a huge part of my being that wants to believe that, desires to believe that. But there's another part of my being that doesn't believe it at all. And I want to understand that as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Great. And it is, that's a part of this unraveling, because we're not a completely aligned, we have many different aspects of ourselves that are often in conflict. And one part wants to believe in love and wants love so badly, and another part completely withholds and resists. No way. And so, it's hard for us to kind of deepen into and understand what's at the source of that. So hopefully I can give you some tools in this process that will really help you with that.
Thank you.
Good. So I think Monica and Sandy, who else hasn't spoken yet?
I'll go. My name is Sandy, and I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in an apartment that is constantly 80 degrees year round. And I also see a lot of familiar faces, because I've been doing the GPS for the past 3 months, I think. And also, I was in one of the, I forget what they're called, Pathwork Connect sessions.
Oh, Brian?
That you led, Darlene. Yeah. So it's nice to have you here. And in the attunement, it took some, I was having trouble arriving tonight, but what I think of or thought of with love is that it's really a step-by-step process, and it's very many steps from me right now. So I'm glad to be here.
Right. Yes. And, it varies, how accessible, and, so I hope we can break it into some, steps, and then also have enough time for people to, get supported where they might feel stuck, or where they, didn't couldn't, you know, where they got to, but they can't quite follow the next level or whatever. So yeah. But it is, you know, like training wheels where we learn some of the ABCs, right? And then maybe it all comes together and now we're, you know, riding our bicycle down the hill and doing it well. But in the beginning, it takes a bit of practice to balance and get all of the stuff to going together at the same time. So, good. So Monica, are you with us?
Hi, yes.
So were you here for the little meditation? And we're just doing a go around, just checking in here. Can you understand me okay? I think you're muted, maybe.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Now we got you.
Okay. Okay. For some reason, I don't know what happened. Okay. So I was saying this is my first time with GPS. I was when you were doing the tournament. So honestly, I guess what it was going through my mind when we were doing that exercises was trying to understand how does unconditional love works, right? I've realized that most of the time it's, at least on my end, is I have expectations of how am I gonna get it back, right? So learning to love myself more, how to receive love and kind of do it without expecting, or give love without expecting anything in return, kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Beautiful. Yeah. And, you know, like you're saying, you know, part of it is like the child doesn't know how to receive love at this point, right? And so there's this kind of desperate need to get it from outside of us, from other people. But then even if they're trying to give it to us, you know, we can't really take it in. And so that's part of my understanding of why, you know, we really have to also, it's not like once we give it to ourselves, we never get it from other people. It's like by, you know, becoming the, you know, inner resource for our different parts, especially our inner child, but all of our parts, then, and our own inner resource actually also connects with our divine resource, right? So it's through that same channel that we can access higher wisdom, and higher love and help. So, but we have to be the ones that first go, you know, and be present in that capacity and befriend ourselves, instead of what we're usually trying to do in some way is control and manipulate ourselves in order to be perfect enough to get the love from somebody else, or in order to, you know, find a way to, you know, force them to give it to us. So, but yes, that's, you know, so hopefully again, you know, this will be a important aspect of what we'll try to do in these next 4 weeks, is, you know, really sort of focus on how can we, you know, resource, you know, and help pay attention and give attention and acknowledgement to all of our parts, all of our aspects, all of our feelings, all of whatever's going on and is alive inside of us. And when we can really do that, you know, it's like, it's interesting because it'll take us in this journey where, you know, sometimes it just needs that and everything's good. Or other times, you know, we acknowledge one level of it and then it drops deeper. And so it actually takes us into a healing process that can help us see where our issues are in the present and how they are connected in our childhood past. And you know, the pathwork is saying that the childhood wound is a sacred wound. So I don't know whether people have been, you know, I think a lot of out in the culture now, you know, there's a lot about our wounding and the wounded child, and, you know, even reparenting, you know, the child. But there's two things that are different in this. The reparenting is done a little differently. It's not just getting another voice in there to be a parent. It's actually making a connection and awakening our own higher self, so that it's the higher self that's present for the child. And then there's this process of like being with and integrating and acknowledging, and then deepening through and clearing whatever the old trauma might be. And we took it on in a way, in each lifetime we take on these wounds, because they are sort of what we came to do, to work on, and also in the healing of them, it activates and helps us have a service in the world. And so we're kind of moving in this lifetime into a transition where we're healing our wounds so we can really be more of in a dharmic experience of life rather than a karmic one. And then we can find a beautiful experience of life, in serving life and serving it where we are in each moment. So I think that this metamorphosis that I kind of am talking about is around the bend, but it's good to sort of wrap our minds around it a little bit and try to imagine how that could work, because I think we're actually on the fringes of it now, and when we can recognize it, we can also start supporting that directly. And everything we're doing, this working with this concept of love, not just a concept, but this energy of love, this power of love, is a part of this whole journey that we're on. So okay, so I'm going to switch gears for a minute and just share screen, and let's kind of explore. Let's see if I can find myself now. I am going to bring up the this little it's called Notebook LM, and it is one of the new AI things. And so forgive me as I'm trying to get everything organized here. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, now I'm going to try and share screen again. Let's see. And this, I also want to optimize the sound, I think. So let me see where I'm doing that now. Doesn't seem to show that anymore. So we'll have to try, and hopefully we're getting, oh, there's the sound. I just saw it. Let's see if this works. So I want to just play for the fun of it, like this is, I was sharing that this is basically something that you can drop in a PDF, and then the AI takes it and it does all kinds of summary things and, suggested questions and briefing documents and timelines. And the other thing that it does is you can create this is an 8-minute, 31-second, AI verbal exchange. So I don't know, some people in the younger generations are having trouble reading a lot. I think you can miss stuff, and there are, like I said, some inaccuracies the way that AI is doing this. I don't know if it gets everything exactly right, but I think it might have some use, and this might be a good way just to kind of follow along everybody together to some of the basic concepts in this lecture. So I'm going to go ahead and play, and then raise your hand if you can't hear it, I guess. Can you hear that? No, okay. So let me try to do the Share sound. Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Are you
You know,
hearing
it's
that?
interesting. We always say we want love right. It's like everywhere you look, love this, love that.
It really is.
But then you sent in this lecture from Ava Brooke Pierakos.
All right.
And it got me thinking, what if there's a part of us that's actually kind of scared of loving?
Yeah.
Like afraid of it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to unpack today.
Right. It's funny. It's like this weird paradox. Yeah. We all want connection. It's like part of being human.
Mm-hmm.
But Pierakos is saying that so many of us, I mean, maybe even all of us, hold back from actually letting ourselves experience it because we're,
Yeah.
we've got this fear.
Okay, so not just like, oh, I'm scared of getting hurt or commitment.
No.
Like deeper than that.
Way deeper. Pierakos is talking about like the root. We think about love. It's all romantic, right?
Right.
But she's seeing it as this core thing, this capacity we have inside for connection. And that affects everything. Your family, how you are with your friends, even at work. And that's where the fear kind of comes out, you know what I mean? In those places.
Okay, so not about avoiding bad dates then. This is bigger.
Much.
So where does it come from? This fear? What's Pierakos say?
She talks about have you ever heard of like the child within?
Oh, like inner child work, that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So it's that part of us that's kind of still stuck.
Yeah.
With the needs we had way back when as kids that maybe didn't get met.
Yeah.
And those longings.
Okay.
So this inner kid, right? Wants to be loved totally, completely, no matter what. But the flip side is it's terrified of giving that same love back.
Oh, wow.
It's like all take, no give.
Yeah. Yeah. Wanting all the good stuff, none of the risk.
Exactly. Like a one-way street. Pierakos actually uses this analogy. Think of a little kid, right? And they want all the toys, all of them, but then they won't share a single one. That's like the immature part of us and how it sees love. Me, me, me.
Wow. So she's not saying it's bad to have that child part though, right?
No, not at all. It's more like now that we know it's there, we can decide how we act, make different choices, not from that scared place.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that in your own life, that kind of dynamic?
So, I mean, what's this big shift then to get us to like actually loving in a good way?
Well, she says it starts with something honestly really small, but huge,
Okay.
It's just accepting that the other person, they've got their own feelings. Even if, and this is the big part, even if those feelings are not what our little inner kid wants.
Whoa, that's tough.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we can get so used to like kind of trying to steer things. It feels normal, even like we're being loving when it's really control.
So instead of like low key trying to get someone to feel a certain way about us, even if we think it's for their good, we got to back off.
Exactly. Let go of that need to make them feel something. Kierkegaard actually calls it, get this, releasing the forcing current.
Forcing current, huh? Never heard that one.
Right. But when you think about it, it totally makes sense. Because when you let go of that, you're not just freeing yourself up, you're freeing them up too.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then there's space for, real respect, real caring to actually grow. Because it's not all be this way so I can feel okay.
You know what? I had this relationship once. Man, I was all about trying to get the other person to be this like perfect partner. In my head, it was perfect anyway.
It's so easy to do.
I thought I was helping, but looking back, yeah, it was all control, wasn't it?
It's easy to get stuck in those like scripts we have
Yeah.
about how love should be, But usually those scripts are from our stuff, our own needs, our own baggage even.
Which is what Pierakos was saying about how that messes up our judgment, right? Makes us doubt ourselves, doubt the other person.
Totally. When we're stuck in what that child part wants, we can't even hear our own intuition,
That gut feeling.
Yeah. The one that's usually right.
Yeah.
About who's good for us, what's healthy. Instead, it's all second guessing, putting our own fears onto them. Recipe for disaster, really.
So how do we like quiet that down, the inner critic?
Yeah.
And start trusting our gut again?
Pierakos says it's about facing this deeper fear, not even about the relationship itself, but the fear of the unknown.
Oh, okay.
Right. When we're insecure, anything that feels out of control or unfamiliar, especially with love, it makes us anxious.
Yeah, big time.
But she says the more we really get ourselves, our patterns, what we need, even the stuff we don't like about ourselves, the less we're going to put that on other people.
Wow.
projects it all, and we're less scared of what we don't know too.
So it's like the better I know myself, the less freaked out I'll be if someone doesn't fit this perfect picture I got.
100%. And then as that fear starts to go away, something kind of cool happens.
What's that?
Trust can actually start to grow. Not naive trust, like, oh, you can do anything,
Mm,
but trust that comes from, I know me, I'm seeing you clearly,
that's good.
and I'm willing to be with how things actually are, not how I wish they were.
Man, that hits home. It's like ditching the fairy tale for what's actually
Uh-huh.
there, huh? Even if it's messy.
Yep. Which makes me think of another big thing Pierikos talks about, that accepting reality thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's huge. Because so much of why we're scared to love is we're fighting against how things are, wanting it to be perfect, you know?
People acting right, relationships being easy.
Right. And then real life happens, doesn't match up, and boom, inner child meltdown.
Because it's not the fairy tale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Pierikos is saying the real growth, it doesn't come from clinging to that fantasy. It's going, okay, this is it. This is what's real.
Even if it's not what we want.
Yeah. And it's not about settling for less either. It's more like now we're seeing clearly so we can choose from a strong place, a wise place, not just fear.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot, right? Like that inner child stuff, the fear, even just knowing ourselves better. But let's say someone's listening and they're like, all right, I'm in. How do I actually love better? What then?
Well, Pierikos, she talks about those, you know, those first steps. And it's not always fireworks and big declarations. You know?
Right, right.
It might just be letting someone feel how they feel about us. No pressure, no trying to change it. Just that's where they're at.
Huh. Sounds kind of simple when you say it like that.
It is. But that's the thing, right? We got to get out of our own way. Stop trying to control how the other person's feeling about us.
Yeah, no more making them love us the right way, huh?
Exactly. I mean, think about it. If you had to force someone, wouldn't that mean it wasn't even real to begin with?
Oof, good point. True love, it's got to be a two-way street.
Totally. It's freely given. Nobody's twisting anyone's arm. And the cool thing is when we back off that pressure, that forcing current, we actually start to see people for who they are.
Not who we want them to be.
Yeah. No more rose-colored glasses, just them in all their messy realness, which can be kind of scary, but
real.
Exactly. And honestly, when we could be that real with someone, flaws and all, that's where the good stuff is, you know? Real connection, real intimacy.
It's not about being perfect then. It's about being known and loved anyway.
You got it.
It's funny how this all connects though. You were saying it's like we're scared of the unknown, but really it's ourselves we're scared of. And maybe that's why love is hard. It's like it's showing us those parts we hide, even from ourselves.
Man, that's so true. You can't really love someone else. I mean, really love them if you don't love yourself first. The whole package, even the messy bits.
This has been a lot. Makes you think, huh? What if all those relationships, even the ones that felt like a train wreck, what if they were actually like lessons to help us love better next time around?
Totally. Every single one, even the hard ones, as long as we're willing to learn from them. Right. Instead of just getting stuck in the blame game.
So big picture, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with from all this Pierikos wisdom?
I think it's this, to love like she's talking about. That takes guts.
Yeah.
You got to face your own stuff, those patterns you keep repeating, and be open to what you don't know about yourself, about love itself. But when you do that, man, the rewards, deeper connection, being your real self, that's a love worth fighting for.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And for everyone listening, we want to hear from you. Hit us up on social media. Let's keep unpacking this together. Till next time, keep diving deep, everybody.
Okay, so let me see if I can figure out how to get it back. Stop the share. So I don't know, we're a little older crowd than maybe this would, be interested to, but how did that sound? Was there any particular aspect of it? I mean, I think covered many of the points of the lecture if you hadn't had a chance to, look over the lecture. And so let's just open it up for a little discussion here.
I just have a question about that. Where is that recorded? What was that? Was that the AI or no?
That was the AI. So
Fascinating, huh?
yeah. It's like I will send you the link to this LM notebook that with this particular lecture, done, but it will also ask you if you want to create an account and try another one, so if you want to go pull out another lecture from, the Pathwork, all of the lectures are in PDF format. You can upload any of them and do some of your own exploring if you want. And so, but yeah, I'll be sending that out to everybody to explore with. And yeah, it does a lot of just organization and outlining and kind of pulling out the highlights of the lecture, in some ways different facets of it, so you can really see the whole thing. I still find myself, like, I love reading the guide. I have a lecture study that I do every 2 weeks for anybody that wants to join, and so if you want to get on that list, you can let me know. But basically, there's something about reading those transmissions that I feel, like, really connect. And then because I've read them, many of them, many times, and, I've worked this for most of my life now, it just feels like there's a lot of ways that I see, like, and can pull from, the other lectures and sort of integrate as we go. So we kind of have a thing where we read some of the lecture, I make some commentary, I open it for you all to have questions or commentaries as well, and we record that. And that's also, past ones are available on my YouTube channel and stuff. So, but there is something, very beautiful about just reading a lecture. And so we'll see, we may explore, taking some of that directly like that. But I did want to sort of work with and introduce also this, that we did a little step within the attunement, and can, maybe take it a little bit deeper and describe sort of this way of self-love, I would say, that we can find how to do within ourselves, and by, like, we get the immediate feedback of the transformation in that moment when we're doing it. So it's kind of like a really cool direct feedback sort of experience, and it can start very simple. So are you guys good with, I'm not sure, with so many new people, maybe sticking more with the lecture right now would be a little better. We're going to do kind of next week too with some of this material. So, but I like to just kind of weave this stuff in and out, because it does all fit together for me. And, it may not make a whole lot of linear sense for you guys yet. So don't feel like you are supposed to somehow, get this right away. It's like, just see if you can, absorb, take in, receive in that way. And that's what this process is also just a very, very receptive process. In the lecture, they talked about, letting go of our forcing current, right? And in some ways, the natural active, is a part of our balanced system, and we do need activity. But in a way, in our culture, we are so over-dominant in that active aspect, and we don't know how, and this is part of that intuition that the guide's talking about, to sit in our receptive first and allow the active to come. And so that means, like, noticing, just even as we go to, be with whatever we want to be with. So it can be an issue in our life that's up for you right now, and you can use that and work with it. Or it can just be, let me go inside and see what wants my attention right now, that I may not even be consciously aware of. So you can work at either side of that, and then kind of go in and explore. And it's in this exploration that we're actually strengthening the muscle and making the connection to this divine part of ourself that can love ourself and can be with ourself. And that connection also is where we can connect with our guidance, our own inner guides, our guardian angels, our intuition, is another way of putting that. You know, we really are not here alone. And, you know, when we can open and trust, there's a way that we can be sensitized and receive this intuitive guidance that we need. And part of that is that it kind of comes in on this channel of compassion and love and presence. So let's just talk a little bit about that for a minute. Are there any questions, or, you know, where are people at, or anything that needs to be backed up and before I launch into this other piece?
Are we sharing our reaction to that? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So, what kind of struck me was the conversation about control and trying to, what I think for me is I'm trying to help the other person to be a better person and and it's making me laugh because it is so me to just give my input, you know, about what I think you need to do to love, to be a better person. And it's kind of a freeing thought that I don't have to do that. And I'm laughing because it's just so true. And it's funny to me right now, you know, that it's really a waste of my time. Anyway, that's what struck me the most.
Uh-huh. I mean, beautiful. And it's great that you can laugh, you know, because that is, I mean, there is so much of it that, you know, is kind of funny when we look back on it. And yet, you know, it also, like, it can be, you know, like even a deeper discernment, right? And so maybe when we do a little process with this, you can go back into that and feel more deeply, you know, even into the humor of it, but also into, you know, who is that? You know, and why are they, you know, why do they do this funny thing? Right? You know, that part of me, all of the parts have reasons that they do all of these things, and they usually are very brilliant in some sense, you know, but you know, if we can really connect with them and understand that, it helps us guide them in a good way.
I think that, you know, right off the bat, I think it's my sense of a lack of trust.
Uh-huh.
I think that it's something that I feel like I need to take control because I don't really trust.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the other person, it's just I just don't trust. You know, maybe I don't trust myself. It's something. It's trust.
Right. So there's, you know, you are noticing something within you that doesn't trust, right? And I'm using this language very specifically. And everybody can explore this a little bit too, and we'll do some exercise. But when we talk about our part, you know, we talk about I am this way, or, you know, I'm feeling, and that's all, you know, it can be useful. But in the focusing process, there's a way that we want to sort of use presencing language that helps kind of bring us into the self that is the witness, the open, compassionate, curious, you know, like aware part of us that is noticing some of these other parts and how they are. And I think it was, you know, this self in presence that was laughing at yourself, because that's some, you know, in a gentle, kind way, you know, it wasn't, you know, critical or anything like that, but, you know, just humorously seeing yourself from, you know, sort of this wiser perspective, right? And so, you know, part of what, you know, we're going to work with is sort of evoking that self in presence by using certain language that helps us not get enmeshed in all of our different aspects. So, but yeah, that's a great example. And, you know, there's, even as you're feeling into, you know, like the distrust, you know, like you can even keep going with that and, like, you know, feel into the distrust more, you know, like roll it back in time, you know, like, was there a time when, you know, this distrust seemed to, you know, I remember it kind of activated in me or something like that, right?
Yes.
So yeah, and so and then we can, you know, see the past in the present, because that's kind of what we're doing, is we're sort of bringing this past into the present, which is not a bad thing if we can complete it, because we don't want to always bring it into the present. But if it's still stuck in us, we need to bring it into the present to complete it and integrate it finally, right? So and so there may be, you know, more that you can, you know, see
Yeah.
about all that.
I am going through my current life events. My past has been brought into the present. I'm experiencing things that I can feel were experienced as a young child.
Exactly.
So that I'd love to be able to put it to rest. It's a double whammy that I feel.
Mhm.
And you know, because it's current and it's past.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit of a tough challenge at this point. I'm taking it on. I'm working hard, but then I'm told I need to sit back and just be present and let the process happen too. So yeah, it's
And
not
so, yeah, I think this again, you know, is going to be really useful for you to find a way sort of to like process that, be with that. But, you know, part of the thing is that our sort of egoic consciousness, you know, like has this thing about it, thinks that we should be past it already, or we should be done with it, or we shouldn't be that way, or, you know, like that. And so, you know, it's beautiful what you're saying. And what we want to do is see like this presence part of us, right? It's not completely withdrawn. It's really engaged, right? And that's what these parts within us need. So, like right now, as you're describing this connection that you're seeing in the past and in the present, and, you know, like just keep witnessing, you know, and seeing if you can, you know, notice, you know, the open curiosity, compassion, you know, recognition, acknowledgement, you know, like just the act of acknowledgement of that child's pain in the past that is here now. And there's a part of you that is experiencing that now. If you can, you know, in that way, just kind of warmly be with it. And so I don't know what that means to you internally inside of you. Somehow there's usually a way that you can feel where this is alive inside of you, and you can come into relationship with it, right? And that's what we're doing with this focusing. It's called inner relationship focusing. So we are coming into relationship with, you know, these parts that are struggling, or, you know, getting rigid.
it's very good advice. I will definitely try.
Yeah. And so as we go, we'll try to do like little forays into that territory and practice that kind of thing. And I'll be able to kind of work with one person, maybe, you know, everybody will go in, and then I'll see if there's somebody that I can kind of help guide a little further. And as we do that, you know, other people can hopefully also follow in various ways. And so hopefully we will do the steepening process, but it is something that as you learn, it's something that you can carry with you and just do, you know, moment to moment in your life as needed, right? You know, and in your session work, and, you know, so it's a fabulous tool. This very, you know, it's simple, but it's layered and more complex. But we're basically, you know, just really learning how to activate this self in presence with all of the rest of us. And, you know, that in the lecture I was talking about, you know, just accepting as they are, not only other people, but how we are, right?
Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to quickly say that it was really kind of interesting, the dynamic that happens inside of me, I guess, when they were talking about letting the other person be who they are, it automatically translates into letting me be who I am. So it's like a completely balanced thing, which is really nice to remember.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Pathwork Guide and so many lectures, like to allow ourselves to be as we are. That's what we're here for. We're here to live our own unique lives, to explore through our choices, through our interests, like who we are, and to do that, like it was a very interesting YouTube video that I ran across a while ago. Sometimes I like to watch the near-death experiencers talk about their experiences, and this guy Vinny said something that, I mean, a lot of them are very similar and everything, but this one kind of caught me because it made so much sense, and the lectures talk about it too. He was saying that, as he was approaching heaven, or home as he called it, and he could tell it was like, when he got there, it was like, his place, that he was experiencing, God's love on a level that was, so immense and so compelling, that he recognized, that anywhere near this love, and there's no way that you could do anything but follow that love and be in that love and do that love. And so it's out of God's love for each of us to individuate and find our own uniqueness and find our own, individuated self, that we actually go through this kind of experience of separation. And, in that sort of way where we don't feel that love always, there's suffering, there's pain, there's, consequences of that, but it gives us this freedom for us to grow and learn within our own experience. And that, I think, is, again, mothers may recognize this as well, like, or, relationship, it's truly love. You have to really grant the other person their right to be fully themselves and to find their own way. And, that's a part of, when we're trying to help the people we love and give them good advice, it's understandable because, it is also coming from love in a way, but it's a different kind, it's a love that's, fear-based maybe, or, just when I find I'm worried about, like, my brother, who struggles a lot, like, I realize, oh, but every time I think about him in that kind of worry space, I'm forgetting and not seeing and affirming and acknowledging his journey and the strength of his soul and what he's working with and taking on, and to see him as whole and complete and capable of doing this, rather than see him as, broken or struggling or, having such a difficult, time, which both of are true. But there's a way that when we can hold each other and ourselves, like in the honor and in the, power of sometimes what we are confronted with and have to work through, then, I think it helps us again, it's like, it's kind of meeting ourselves through this experience of honoring and acknowledging the totality of everything that we carry. And I have heard some of the channels, and more recently, I don't think Eva said this, but more recently, say, you know what, this is kind of like a lifetime of all lifetimes, and for many of us, we have brought in all of our lifetimes. We are completing a whole historic journey of karma. So we're working with it all in this one lifetime. And in this lifetime, there is also this potentiality then of making this transition in consciousness from this kind of karmic level of experience and living on earth to a new experience and expression, a dharmic one, where we are, working sort of consciously at one with all of the planetary forces and each other and, with ourselves. So it's kind of, to me, an exciting time to be alive. And sometimes I may get ahead of myself because I keep going there instead of staying here. But we're in this process then of clearing all of this karmic stuff right now. So everything that's coming up, it's beautiful to let it activate us as long as we don't get enmeshed in it and think it's real or, it's something that we have to fix or, change, like if we can just be the witness and work with our own energies as we go forward, then this process actually creates change naturally. And so, it's not like we have to do anything to make it happen. It's like it's built into us. It's built into nature. It's built into what the earth is doing right now. And our job is really to kind of let go of the active controlling doer and learn how to sit back and trust again, and trust that there's something bigger happening here than meets the eye, and that, that our children, our inner children experience, which was, I'm good or bad, right or wrong, okay or not okay, depending on if I'm doing what everybody else wants me to. So we're kind of clearing all of that, programming that we took on. And so it's a beautiful thing when we notice that, oh, I'm stuck back in one of those old programs, because it is an opportunity for us then to clear it. How are the guys doing? Anything, is this making sense to you guys? Jim, Jeff? You're muted in case you're trying to speak. So anyone else have anything they want to throw in? So let's see if we can maybe explore a little bit of this presencing language, right? So think, like tune in and notice, like, what is your internal weather pattern, like, or your atmosphere, your inner atmosphere, like just notice, what, if you were going to say, I feel, fill in the blank, like what would that be in this moment? And just, kind of connect with something that feels right, that, you get a confirmation inside. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Everybody got one? So now see if you can, we're going to try kind of take 2 steps back to kind of get a little distance. So we're not, when we say I feel, that's kind of merged with it, right? Because you're more than just that feeling, right? There's an old meditation from Gurdjieff that, says, I have feelings, but I'm not my feelings, because a part of me is, like I'm aware of my feelings. So, the part that is aware is who I am, and the feelings are a content of my awareness. I have a body, I have thoughts, all of those things, are not who we are, like Spanish and Portuguese, some of the other languages are a little better. They talk about I have hunger, or I have, instead of I am. I am is like this very powerful God statement, right? I am that I am. So when we say I am angry, right? Now we're describing kind of a total identification with something, and that's an enmeshment within it. And so it helps. And you can just try, like the first step is just to say something about a part of me feels angry, or a part of me feels fearful, or a part of me feels, whatever it is. And see, how that feels internally a little different maybe than when you say I am. If you're speaking to me, Jeff, I'm not hearing you because you're on mute, but if you're speaking to yourself, that's fine.
Yeah, I was just speaking to myself, just sort of trying on the
Yeah,
coaching you're giving here.
good. So did you feel a difference in that?
Yeah, I did. But I started out with I feel sleepy, and then when I said a part of me feels sleepy, a part of me woke up. So
Good.
yes, thank you.
Yeah. And so then the third level, that it's even more because it kind of invokes the true I am presence, right? Is to say, I notice. So now the I is noticing something in me. You can say a part in me, something in me, that. And it's good to say, wants my attention, even, even because sometimes we don't even know what the heck it is, but we're noticing something. And so if we're noticing something, we can kind of assume that it's, it's a part that wants our attention. So go ahead, Carol.
I'm going to say that I'm going to put it a little differently. And I'm going to say, right now, my body feels very peaceful.
Okay.
And relieved.
Yes. Good. And that's actually, the positive feelings you don't need to disidentify with so much, right? So when we are, affirming or acknowledging, like the movement into a space of, peace and deeper connectedness with ourselves and balance within, like that, that's fine to identify with that, right? So you wouldn't necessarily use the presencing language to separate. I mean, you can explore it and see what it does when you feel it, but
it is a bodily feeling, and maybe it's because I feel tired like Jeff.
Yeah.
But it's a very peaceful feeling. I came in feeling angry and annoyed, and I'm leaving feeling peaceful.
Good. Yeah. So I notice I'm used to like a 2-hour class, so it's our witching hour is here. So I hope this was useful, and I will send some materials out, including some materials on this process that maybe you can explore and read up if you want a little. I'm kind of like a college professor, like I'm happy to share resources, and I know that everybody's busy and has the rest of their life, and so you may not be able to get to all of it. So it's like extra credit, or you don't, you can, if it's useful, have it, maybe something you can get to later. But yeah, I'll just, send stuff out and you can see what you care to explore. And then we will do this again next Monday. That sound good? Let's just do people got a few more minutes just to do, or do we need to, if anybody needs to leave right on time, since I'm not ADHD is not good at executive functioning people. So, I would love to just hear like a one word, or a one phrase, sentence or something like that of, where this has left you, what kind of a check in and go around of closure for everybody. I think I heard Carol was saying peaceful and calmer and, so.
For me, it's allow, just deepening the practice of allow.
Deepening
the practice to allow things to unfold.
Good. Yeah.
And
A little confused on some things, need to work on things longer.
Okay. Feel free, if there's certain questions or confusions, to email me, or something like that. Again, this is a deep dive, and people are at different levels of this work and different levels of experience, even, like connecting with some of these concepts and stuff. So, don't, if you need some help with confusion, let me know.
Thanks.
I am engaged and excited, Darlene. Looking forward to the resources. That AI thing, that was hilarious. It was like, it was so funny, so different from the lectures. It was very funny. I prefer reading them too, but I could see how a different audience would really appreciate the conversation.
So I'm looking forward to, you gave us a few tools, and I'm looking forward to watching how I can use them. So thank you.
Darlene, I'm also looking forward to your resources. And as we complete tonight, I notice that I feel inspired and hopeful.
Thank you.
I'm feeling hopeful too. I've had a lot of sadness the past few days. So it's I'm working on all that, because there's grief too from my dad passed away in June. So there's some of that, some of the child. So I appreciate too, like, all the sharings that people do as well. Very helpful. The other Judy, I can't think what she first said, but whatever it was. Oh, that parents do unconditional love, even when, we didn't take it that way. It's very interesting the way it all weaves.
Exactly. Yeah, and it sounds like, whatever, sadness or whatever you're sitting with, Lester, just explore this a little, just to kind of go and meet it, acknowledge it, like I am noticing a part in me, or something in me that, and then try to describe it and reflect it, like, to the part that you're describing, like this part of you is listening and reflecting back and acknowledging, what it's hearing or feeling in that part of, but then the other part also, you'll feel it if that part felt really seen, really got, you'll feel a shift and something will change. It doesn't mean that, your sadness will go away. Grief is appropriate in some situations, but the hard pain or, like something will shift and help you move with it. So, and we'll again practice this a little. I'll try to send some things out. There's not like a real simple learning thing. So I think it'll be next week that I'll send you some handouts that we can work with that will help you maybe practice this on your own, as well as if you want to with each other in between. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay. So I know it's getting late, so feel free if people need to exit. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining.
Good night.
And see you in.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Darlene. Always love your style.
Take care.